exponential, like for us. Anyway, so I started, for those of you who don't know much of my history at all, I started at Funimation Productions in 1997. Just before that, I was going to college at the University of North Texas for radio, television, and film, and I was on my last semester there. To be honest, I didn't really enjoy the university's kind of radio, television, film department. I know they have a really good one, but I just thought it was kind of stupid. I had already worked at radio stations. I had already done some voiceover, so going to school to do it was kind of like going back a little bit, and it was so much book work, and it just seemed a little ridiculous. Because I remember my first class at radio, television, film school, after already working in radio, were like the common hand signals of radio production, and they're like, stretch it out, I need more time. Nobody did that anymore. Like, that was done in like the 40s and things like that. Like, it doesn't happen like that anymore. The only like hand gesture you see in radio these days, like a middle finger of somebody, a fellow disc jockey's walking by your session. Anyway, so I got the call, or a page, honestly, if you guys have ever heard of those things. They were called pages, and they were awesome. It's just like an iPhone, except no screen, and no games, and no ability to call anyone on it, or tell who it was. And so I got this page when I was in an astronomy class, and I went and answered it, and it turns out it was this girl named Carly Hunter, who I was friends with through her husband. We played in a band together, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it is important. That'll come back later. She told me they were having auditions for this show, this Japanese cartoon that she was working on. I was always fascinated by her work, because Carly was one of 4 employees at Funimation, and her job was a rotoscoper, and she would go through frame by frame, having to take, like, erase the panties out of a scene when they were long, or like put HFIL on the t-shirts and stuff like that instead of hell. And I was always fascinated by her job. I always used to ask her, I'm like, where do you keep all the footage that you cut, because I want to watch it all. And so she called me, and I went out to audition for Funimation, and I booked 2 roles on the same little feature. One was a guy named Yamcha, and a dude named Igor from this little tiny movie called Sleeping Princess in Devil's Castle. It was just a small direct-to-video kind of Funimation release. And as it turns out, we recorded it. It was in the jankiest setup you've ever seen. I think this mixing board cost more than all the equipment that we originally used to make that they recorded me on. I mean, it was like a toaster connected to a microwave, 2 strings, and 2 cans. Yeah, I think we would be lucky to have gotten the professor from Gilligan's Island. We got the drunk professor from, like, Gilligan's Airport or something. A spin-off of Gilligan's Island that was really crappy or something. No, we did our best. Although, yeah, they weren't really sure what they were doing. As it turns out, it was a bit of a test to see if they could actually dub this stuff in Texas rather than in Canada, where they originally started dubbing Dragon Ball Z. And it turns out it was somewhat of a success. So after that, they asked if I would come in, and I asked if I wanted to come in and help direct and cast the Dragon Ball Z series. And that was like in 1997 or early 98, and I've been working on Dragon Ball Z ever freaking since then. So I guess the point of that, of telling you kind of where I was in the page and all that, is I was left with a very difficult decision. I was left with the decision of, do I finish out school to get a piece of paper that tells me that I'm qualified to do a job, or do I take the job that I'm supposed to try and get after I get out of school with that piece of paper? And it was a really, really difficult decision, and my dad did not like the decision I made. But after about 10 years of working on it, he's like, all right, I guess it was the right decision. And I do feel bad when, like, I've met a lot of parents over the years, and they shove their kid in my face. They're like, telling me he's got to go to school. He has to go to tennis school and fish with boys. I'm like, well, if he wants to do that, I think that's a wonderful idea. Like, I hope Dennis go to school, but I don't know if it's necessarily the right thing for everybody. So